Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this evening's National Town Hall meeting, hosted here at the Deluxe Cinema in the beautiful town of Grenville, St. Andrew. My name is Jamila Lewis, and I have the privilege of serving as your Master of Ceremonies for this evening's session. We are very pleased that you've joined us as we have come together to share information, engage in open dialogue, and discuss important development that impacts you, our customers, and community members. On behalf of the National Water and Sewage Authority, NAWASA, we are truly grateful that you've taken the time to be with us here today. This town hall meeting is not just an event on our calendar, it represents a vital part of NAWASA's ongoing commitment to transparency, accountability, and partnership with the communities that we serve. This evening is all about you. It's about listening to your voices, addressing your concerns, and sharing the work that is being done to improve the services that you depend on every day. We believe that open and honest dialogue builds trust, and trust is the foundation for progress. Your feedback is not only welcomed, it is essential. As we present our plans and future projects, your input will help shape the direction we take as we strive to provide a safe, reliable, and sustainable water service to every household and community across Grenada, Carriacou, and Petite Martinique. So once again, thank you for joining us, and we look forward to an engaging and a productive evening. To begin this evening's proceeding, I will now invite Mr. Wim Cox. Mr. Cox is the manager of NAWASA's Planning and Development Department, and he will lead us in a word of prayer. Mr. Cox.
Good afternoon all. Let's bow our heads. Heavenly Father, we bless your name. We give you thanks, O God, for this wonderful day in your presence. And Father, as we gather, O God, we ask that your blessings, your love be bestowed upon us. Father, we ask your grace upon everyone who is seated here. Those are on the way, O God. And Father, we trust that the discussions today would be in the benefit of us all. We ask all of these good tidings in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much, Mr. Wim Cox. We are honored to have with us this evening the chairman of NAWASA's Board of Directors. The board plays a critical role in guiding the strategic direction of the authority, ensuring sound governance and safeguarding the interests of the communities we serve. At this time, please join me in welcoming Mr. Philip Alexander, chairman of NAWASA's Board of Directors, who will bring us remarks.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Fellow Director Josephine Blash, members of the management team of NAWASA, particularly so the General Manager, Mr. Terrence Smith, the general public, those present in person, those of us online, I want to say a special good evening to you. It's a pleasure for me this evening to speak to you on a couple of issues that are pertinent to our, as the authority, and on the way forward. I think, first of all, the strategic plan that we are going to be hearing much more about from Terrence will, in its own, the own context in which it will be done, will place us in a better place as to where NAWASA is. But of course, the strategic plan came out of many of these discussions. I want to especially welcome Director Tessa Sincere. Welcome. I want to particularly mention that a lot of what is in the strategic plan came out of engagements like these in communities. So it should be part of what you yourself as the general public has contributed, and we are reflecting that. Additionally, I think we want to, because we are in the tongue of Grenville, and we have been, in more ways than one, affecting the lives and livelihood of the general public, especially when it comes to the motorists and the users of the roads in the St. Andrew area. We would want to pay particular attention to those concerns at this time and address them in ways and explain to you how and why these things are necessary at this time, because it is important for us to be in a position to give you information so that you could appreciate the way forward in the next couple of weeks, where we are today, where we are going to be in the next 6 months. We have other projects coming on stream, how that will affect the supply of water in our communities, in particular St. Andrew, St. Patrick, and Northern St. David. So this is opportunity here today to engage you and to welcome every one of us, especially those online. Those of us in the media houses, please be prepared to share your questions with us, because we are quite prepared to answer you. Mr. Cox is on my right, and he will be able to fill you in with all of the practical applications as what we are going to be having, when we're scheduling what, and those issues will be addressed here this evening. So I want to particularly welcome all and take the opportunity. Any questions of policy and where the directorship of the board, I am prepared to answer at your convenience. So, Madam Chair, thank you and welcome all.
Thank you very much, Mr. Philip Alexander, Chair of NAWASA's Board of Directors. A strategic plan is more than just a document. It's a roadmap that guides an organization's actions, decisions, and priority. For NAWASA, this plan is essential as we navigate the challenges and opportunities within the water sector. It outlines our vision for the future, identify key areas for investment and improvement, and ensures that every step we take is focused on enhancing service delivery, building resilience, and meeting the needs of you, our customers, and our communities. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Terrence Smith, Acting General Manager of NAWASA, who will now share the details of NAWASA's strategic plan and what it means for all of us as customers going forward. Mr. Terrence Smith.
Thank you very much, Ms. Lewis. Chairman of NAWASA's Board of Directors and other directors, fellow senior managers, other NAWASA employees, and members of the public of Granville and St. Andrews, and also those of us who are following online. Good evening. During the last 2 quarters of last year, 2024, the National Water and Sewage Authority undertook a very, very important strategic exercise. We got the assistance of an international consultant, and over a period of about 3.5 to 4 months, a process which included extensive consultations yielded a new strategic plan for the authority for the period 2025 to 2029. This is a brief presentation. The strategic plan has a large number of strategic actions that NAWASA would be undertaking over the next 5 years. But over the next 15 minutes or so, I will present some of the main elements of the strategic plan and just a few of the actions. And you will have the opportunity at the end to, using your smartphone, to be able to access the document. And we'll be happy to answer any questions or queries or take any comments you may have on the document. So, by way of background, NAWASA is responsible for the provision and maintenance of our public or municipal water system. and for sewerage services. It's well known that we have, it's only about 5% of Grenada's population is sewered. We have a small sewage system that serves part of the town of St. George, and we have the Grandland sewage system that serves from Fall Edge, approaching the Grandlands area, the hotel and industrial area. So we call it the Grandland sewage system. Currently, neither of these systems includes wastewater treatment, and we'll speak to that very shortly. This strategic plan sets out the various goals, strategic goals and objectives that the authority plans to achieve within the next 5-year period in order to maintain a good water system, a good water utility. Next. Oh my God. Okay. Let's look briefly at the objectives of the strategic plan. The first circle there that's highlighted, it's highlighted because we're not going to deal extensively with it. Some of the background work that is done in crafting a strategic plan includes a detailed look at the business factors, the so-called SWOT analysis, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So that's some of the background analysis that was done. Coming out of this exercise, we crafted a vision statement, a mission statement, and core values, which we will examine shortly. Coming out of these, we identified a number of key priority areas, a number of goals, and a number of strategic actions. And the overall objective of this exercise is to provide a clear policy direction for the organization for the next 5 years. So let's look now at the vision statement. Our vision statement is to be a premier water utility, providing excellent service to all customers, fostering a healthy and productive nation. So it is well known that water is essential to life. There's a close correlation also between a household having a water service and the health of that household. As we know, water is used to wash, to provide, both in terms of use by householders, for personal hygiene, as well as for laundry and so forth, in the kitchen, for cooking, and also, of course, for drinking. So the vision statement is a futuristic goal that you set in yourself, or the organization is setting itself. That is what we aim to become at some point in the future. That is what we're working towards. That's our vision statement. We next look at our mission statement, which is it's again an objective that we aim to achieve perhaps at an earlier stage than the vision. The vision is a futuristic, ideal situation that we aim. Our mission statement, and I quote, is to provide clean, safe, and reliable drinking water and efficient sewage services in a sustainable manner that exceeds our customers' expectations. So the mission statement basically outlines what is the reason for the existence of the organization. What is it that we do? What is our business? To provide clean, safe, and reliable drinking water and efficient sewage services in a sustainable manner. So We may be providing the services at this point in time, in this year, during this current period. But we're in the dry season now, and we're going to be going deeper into the dry season as we get into April and May. This is speaking to consistency, sustainability. We have to be providing this service this year, into next year, 5 years down the line, 10 years down the line. So this is what the mission statement outlines. And this assists in setting the strategic direction of the organization. We next look at NAWASA's core organizational values. And let me just emphasize here that we will have, built into the program, we will have a period for any questions or comments that any of the residents here in person may wish to make, and also any online questions or comments. So NAWASA's core organizational values. The first one, excellence in operations and service delivery. So my colleague Engineer Cox is going to be speaking on our projects that we've been implementing and our immediate future plans. Perhaps we'll speak to some aspects of that in terms of our operations and service delivery. Secondly, social responsibility at the community and national levels. It is well known that NAWASA is very active in terms of our corporate social responsibility. We are is it the main or the only? What do we call ourselves? The gold sponsor, the main sponsor of the premier secondary school in Granville in terms of preparation for sports and so forth. Thirdly, accountability at all levels to all stakeholders. So the hosting of these town halls is an aspect of our accountability, as Ms. Lewis indicated at the start, transparency and accountability. That is an aspect of accountability. We place ourselves here at your disposal. We will outline what are the main projects we're doing, and we will field your questions and hear your concerns. Fourthly, innovation and creativity in operations and service provision. Innovation. So, for example, currently, again, it's fairly well known that the authority has been implementing the G-Cruise project, Climate Resilient Water Sector G-Cruise project over the last few years. And this year, we will be aiming to complete the project, this year into the first quarter of next year. And included in the G-Cruise project are various sub-projects or sub-activities that speak to innovation, and we'll speak further to that later on in the program. Then outreach and networking with stakeholders. Again, an activity like this, a town hall like this, is a component of outreach and networking with stakeholders. And then finally, we aim to build a culture of continuous improvement and a healthy working environment. Just a quick comment on this last one, a culture of continuous improvement. 18 of NAWASA senior managers and supervisors or supervisory managers have been involved in an intensive training program from this week, Monday to Friday, and into Monday of next week, with a regional consultant. This is being held online, in which we are looking at various aspects of reporting and report writing and communication between ourselves and with the general public and so forth. That is an investment of NAWASA in its senior staff towards continuous improvement. We look now at our value proposition, and I quote, NAWASA is a customer-focused organization providing convenient access to drinking water and wastewater services and contributing to public health and environmental benefits for the sustainable social and economic development of our Tri-Island state. So this summarizes what are the main values that we're working toward. We look now at the 6 key priority areas or KPAs that have been identified coming out of the earlier parts of the strategic plan and the consultations that were done. So we've identified, firstly, as a key priority area, so in other words, what are the main areas that the authority would seek to address over the next 5 years, for which we will have to invest finances, develop and build projects and programs, conduct training and capacity building among our staff. So the first one, water security, sustainability, and environmental stewardship. How do we ensure water security? So NAWASA has a very, very high, what we call penetration rate. It's probably in the vicinity of 98 or 98.5, in the very high 90s% of Grenada's population is served by the National Water and Sewage Authority. You know, it has a households which have a private water service connection. But we must admit that we have not, over the years, been able to provide a continuous supply of water 24/7 throughout the entire year. We generally can meet our requirements during the 6 or so months of the rainy season, but we admit that we have supply shortfall, supply challenges in several parts of Grenada, in particular the south of the island, during the dry season. So that speaks to water security and sustainability, water security, sustainability, and environmental stewardship. The environmental stewardship part would refer to how do we extract so about 90% of our water supply is sourced from surface water sources. And how do we extract that water from the rivers and streams? Do we do it in an environmentally irresponsible manner and dry up a stream, for example, so that there's no downstream flows, no environmental flows? We extract water from the Granitang Lake during the critical periods of the dry season. Do we attempt to pump the lake dry? So these are some of the issues that would be covered under environmental stewardship. Secondly, second key priority area, innovation, infrastructure, and asset management. These are some of the matters that my colleague Engineer Cox would be addressing shortly. Just a quick word on asset management. Our assets, the asset of our water authority, of our water utility, are our dams, our pipelines, our treatment plants, our distribution network, the few pumps that we have in our system, our distribution reservoirs, etc. Under the G-Cruise project, we have a very cutting-edge and innovative subcomponent that we refer to as the IT for information technology, the IT asset management that is going to transform the way we operate and maintain our infrastructure, our assets, our water infrastructure. Thirdly, I'd refer to operational effectiveness and efficiency. Fourthly, excellence in customer service, and community engagement. This is our community engagement, as we've mentioned. This is part of our community outreach. Fifthly, workforce development and safety. We made mention of that recently. The authority invests every year in training its staff at all levels in a wide cross-section of areas and activities, technical activities, and as I indicated today, the training that we are undergoing this week refers to or focuses on communication and writing. So workforce development and safety, and then finally, governance and leadership. So, as I indicated, there is a large number of strategic actions that are included in the strategic plan. It will take a very, very long time, so I have, in the interest of time, just focused on a couple of them, just to illustrate, and we can always go into further detail during the discussion. So, KPA 1 is water security, sustainability, and environmental stewardship. And for each of the KPAs, we have several goals and strategic actions. So goal 1 under KPA 1 is water quantity and quality to ensure an adequate supply of good quality water for distribution. That's the core reason for our existence, to supply potable or drinking water to the population. The strategic actions to achieve goal 1, we've identified 4 of them. Firstly, to implement a source water protection program, which is a form of watershed management. Just a brief word on that. The authority, we're at the early stages of collaboration with a regional entity, the CDF, the CARICOM Development Fund, in developing what would be a minimum $10 million US project for identifying our most at-risk watersheds and investing these at least $10 million US over a period of maybe 3 or 4 years when the project is developed in improving the quality of our most at-risk watersheds, where we collect our water from. Secondly, the second strategic goal identified, the second strategic action identified under goal 1 is mainstreaming of rainwater harvesting. It is well known that our sisters and brothers in Carriacou and Petit Martinique practice rainwater harvesting. That is the traditional means of drinking water or potable water in our sister isles. We know that with the recent hurricane, last year's hurricane, it has devastated the housing stock. They're building back now. Many people still would not be able to collect rainwater. So the authority has a desalination plant, one on each of Carriacou, and one each on Carriacou and Petit Martinique. And we will speak further to that later. We're at an advanced stage of procurement of a second desal plant to be installed in Carriacou. But one of our strategic actions is to mainstream rainwater harvesting on mainland Grenada so that the water collected from your roof can augment your supply from the municipal system, from NAWASA system. The third strategic action to identify and develop new water sources, that is an ongoing endeavor. And fourthly, to implement a real-time monitoring system for water level and quality. This is a subcomponent of the G-Cruise project, referred to as SCADA, where you use advanced electronic equipment to assist the engineers and technicians and the plant operators you would be able to sit down from a control room with a computer and you would be able to monitor the level of a dam or the flow of water through our major water treatment plants. You'd be able to adjust the feed rate of chlorine to treat the water and so forth. The other one we look at briefly is KPA 4, Excellence in Customer Service and Community Engagement. Just speak briefly to that. Goal 13 under the strategic plan is public education, to educate our community about water conservation, sewage treatment, and the importance of sustainable practices. And we have identified three goals. Three strategic actions under this goal: to increase our social media presence. NAWASA now and for the last several years has been very, very active on social media. Secondly, to post alerts and updates on social media in a timely manner. And thirdly, to conduct awareness campaigns to inform the public and stakeholders of issues related to climate change and the water utility. And we'd speak briefly to KPA number 5, customer and community engagement. Goal number 14, customer service, to enhance customer service operations, to improve our responsiveness and customer satisfaction. And 3 strategic actions here that assist us to meet our goal. 1, to introduce a comment response operation so that comments made on social media posts are responded to in a timely manner. That's obviously the feedback from the public that are active on social media. Second, to develop an annual customer satisfaction survey. And thirdly, to develop an effective public complaint system accompanied by a centralized digital registry of complaints and corrective measures. So again, it's well known, we have many leaks in different parts of our distribution network, and they will manifest, well, they don't always manifest as a leak so that you can see water running from a road or in a drain or whatever it is. Many of the leaks in our systems are underground. You never see them. They never surface. But certainly, we have leaks in many parts of our system, and the people are encouraged to call in to NAWASA's customer service personnel, or to go on social media and record and report these leaks and so forth. But we do not as yet have a digitized system that would enable us to more efficiently capture these reports of leaks and so forth, and to be able to respond to them. So this is one of the strategic actions. And under the G-Cruise project, the IT asset management component that I referred to a while ago will go a long way in assisting the authority to address these customer complaints. So this, ladies and gentlemen, is just a brief look at some of the critical components of the strategic plan. I thank you very much, and I invite you to take out your smartphone, and you can scan the QR code that is shown there, and it would enable you to download the strategic plan. So I invite anyone, pull out your smartphone, and you can scan the QR code, and you will be able to get the strategic plan that you could download to your phone or your system. So I thank you very much, and we'll be happy to take any questions you may have. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Terrence Smith, Acting General Manager of NAWASA. At this time, we would like to say a special thank you to those who are joining us online. via Mikey Live, YouTube, NAWASA's Facebook page, and a little later on, we will be joining at the completion of Senate on the Government Information Service. And for those that are with us in person, you know, I just saw a quote that I like. He said, it's not just about the numbers, it's about the value that they present. And I think that you being here represents the value that you see water is to you. So we very much thank you for being here. Our next presentation focuses on NAWASA's capital expenditure projects, which represents some of the most significant investments in the organization's history. Leading this discussion will be the Planning and Development Manager at NAWASA, Mr. Wim Cox, who will provide valuable insights into projects currently underway, as well as those we have planned for the future. NAWASA has been on the cusp of major development, driven by a commitment to improving water security, expanding access, and building a more resilient and sustainable water future for Grenada, Carriacou, and Petite Martinique. These capital projects are carefully designed to address the long-term needs of our communities, modernizing our systems, upgrading aged infrastructure, and ensuring that we continue to deliver safe, reliable water services in the face of growing demand and climate-related challenges. Mr. Cox's presentation will give you a closer look at these projects that are transforming the water sector and creating lasting benefits for generations to come. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Mr. Wim Cox.
Yes, pleasant good evening all. Thank you very much, Ms. Lewis. Chairman Philip Alexander, fellow directors of the board, our General Manager, Terence Smith, my colleague managers, and the public, good afternoon to our online folks as well. Our General Manager just presented the strategic plan for NAWASA, and in there he would have highlighted our focus, and our focus continue to be 24/7 supply for Grenada. That is bottom line. That is all we're aiming to do. We want to make sure that Grenadians on a whole do not have a water issue. Are we there yet? No. But we continue to strive every day, implement projects after projects to do that. Currently, we are for 2025, and this is a project we have started for the last 5 or 6 years. The G-Cruise project started in 2019. The UK SAFE project, that is also listed here, started 2017. And of course, every year, as part of our ongoing development, NAWASA invests in our CapEx project. This is where we look at our private water supply connection, another small project just to ensure better efficiency in our systems. From the presentation of the strategic plan, we've identified there about 13 goals. And the projects that we are currently implementing impacts all of the 13 goals one way or the other. So we're linking our projects to a strategy. Critical to mention. The G-Cruise project, just to get into some details as to what exactly we're doing. The G-Cruise project, as I mentioned, started in 2019. And it's a project conceptualized to create a paradigm shift in the way we do water, in the way we look at water. The project envisaged that Grenada as a whole need to have better water governance. Users need to change their approach towards how we use water, and NAWASA, as the entity responsible for water supply, water management, needs to invest in better infrastructure. And that is the components of the project. It has 5 components. Component 1, look at the resilient water governance. Component 2, as I'd mentioned, look at the resilient water user. Component 3, which we'll get more into, speak about resilient water supply system. Component 4, look at the use of technology to create a better supply of water. And component 5 of that project looked at regional partnership and sharing the information or lessons learned, etc., on the project. Our focus today is going to be on component 3. And component 3 involves installation of new tanks, new pipelines. Our general manager spoke about the IT asset management. That is in the introduction of technologies. One of our transformational projects is an entire shift in the way which NAWASA intends to do business, conducts its operations, etc. We are also looking at rainwater harvesting, better use of rainwater harvesting to assist us in the supply or augmentation of water, especially during the dry season, but we want to collect water during the rainy season to assist during the dry season. It also looks at health centers. We want to create resiliency in the health sector. So the project is looking at adding water storage tanks across health centers across the island. SCADA, our GM mentioned SCADA. That's the remote access to our dams, tanks, etc., to create better efficiency. We want to be able to sit in our offices and be able to control, to know what's the level of water in the respective tanks, as compared to now somebody has to leave, get in a vehicle, drive to see and check what is happening. All part of better efficiency for the organization. And by far, one of our most transformational projects, and it's well underway, it's our Seven Sisters project, where this project is looking at the transfer of water from the Seven Sisters over to our Les Savacat water treatment plant that is on the eastern side of the island. This slide gives an overview, so to speak, as to what is happening and when we intend to finish the projects under the G-Cruise projects. So our tanks and pipelines is ongoing now. And I know this one is very interesting to persons because this is a project that has the road from Maribo all the way to Tivoli excavated and, and so on. This particular project, the Maribo project, is intended to be completed at the end of May. It is about 60% completed. So we're anticipating, guys, that the issues that we have with traffic, the swerving away from the trenches, etc. We're saying to you that this should be all over by the end of May. We're in the dry season, so we have less hiccups as it relates to rains and delays, etc. There are a number of issues that have been impacting the project, many of which is beyond the control of NAWASA, and we continue to do all that we can to mitigate against these issues. We're working with all of our agencies, ministries, etc., to look at different ways in terms of how we could make sure that the lives of our people and the lives of the users on the road are impacted as least as we possibly can. But as we all know, the progress, the betterment of our systems is not going to happen without some inconveniences. for persons in the Townhall area, persons in the Maribor area who have the opportunity to traverse up to where NAWASA's dam is, you would notice that we have some new tanks being constructed. And I'll show an image of them. This tank is at Townhall, and we have 8 of these tanks being constructed across the island. To date, we've completed 2, and we still have another 6 to be constructed. These tanks is going to assist us with storage so that we can better serve the dry season. And again, that's the challenge. The GM just mentioned that we cannot meet our demand during the dry season. So part and parcel of what we're doing and what we've identified is that, hey, we are accustomed, and Ms. Lewis and the team is always encouraging persons to store. And NAWASA ourselves, we are also doing the same, to be able to better meet the needs of the customers. So the project is going to be installing some 8 tanks across the island that is going to assist us with a longer time before we start any valve regulation. It's also going to assist us with better management of our systems. At nights, when persons are sleeping, our tanks are going to be catching water so we can distribute way better the following day. So again, the impacts of this project is really going to assist us in terms of achieving that goal of a 24-hour supply. We're not going to get there with this project by itself, but it is part and parcel of our drive to get to our goal of a consistent supply to Grenada. To continue on the tanks and pipes, 2 of these tanks that we're referring to is going to be constructed in Carriacou. So again, Carriacou is not left out. We appreciate with the passage of Beryl and the issues that they continue to have over on Carriacou, and NAWASA identifying that. And part of this project has always included a component to have more storage in Carriacou to assist with distribution on the island of Carriacou. The pipeline projects, in addition to Maribor, Townhall, pipelines are going to be installed in Montrouge, where the intent is to have one of those tanks installed on Montrouge to assist better supply on the south of the island. We have a tank that's going to be installed in Chantilly, and Chantilly is in St. George's, just in the Rady vicinity. So we're going to have a tank there as well. We have a tank to be installed at Pegiswim. That is well on the way as well. So for the Grenville area, we're going to have you properly covered. There's a tank in Maribor and a tank to be installed in Pegiswim that is going to assist, again, as I mentioned, with better distribution and better supply as the dry season kick in, and just generally to assist us with whatever maintenance issues, operations, and so that we're going to have. We're going to have storage so that we could have time to clean our dams and not impact water supply to any great degree while we do that. To continue on areas where we're going to be installing pipelines, the Vendome system, we also have a pipeline that we're going to run along the Vendome Road. And I'm throwing all of this out, guys, because, it's critical for us to identify that there is still a lot more to come. And these are projects that we haven't started yet, all of which we intend to start later this year with completion in early 2026. The project has other components, as I'd mentioned. We're looking at assisting with storage in health centers. We're looking at rainwater harvesting. If persons have the opportunity to pass by NAWASA's headquarters anytime tomorrow or later this week, we have set up a model rainwater harvesting system at NAWASA so that persons can get an appreciation as to how a rainwater harvesting system is supposed to look like, so we can mimic it, part and parcel again of our promotion of rainwater harvesting to assist with our demand and shortfalls, etc. The Seven Sisters project, I somewhat mentioned it, and how transformational that project is going to be for NAWASA. This project is going to tap into the Great River. Again, the GM would have mentioned that NAWASA would have done everything, all of our research to ensure that there is, very minimal or no impact at all to the flow of the river and the aquatic life and whatever else that the river serves in terms of our intent to extract water from the Great River. But the intent here is to alleviate some of the issues that we have in areas like St. Paul's and some of our elevated villages that struggles for water in a major way. To date, we've already started valve regulation in some of these areas because of how vulnerable the plant that solve those areas are. And again, identifying the challenge, we have come up with this particular solution to address that issue in that area. Solar PV. The intent is that energy generation, energy consumption is an operational cost for NAWASA. And to alleviate that, part and parcel of our drive as an organization is to lessen these operational costs, and we intend to introduce the use of solar PV to assist with the offsetting of these costs. The GM mentioned Carriacou, PT Martinique. We have desalination plants. These desalination plants run off of pure energy, and part and parcel of the alleviation of the operational costs is the introduction of solar PV at different points, at different areas as we move along. Another major project that NAWASA is part and parcel embarking on is that of the South St. George Water Supply Project. This project is funded in part by the UKSIF, United Kingdom Infrastructure Development Fund, and it's managed by the Caribbean Development Bank. This project is going to see the upgrade of the Concord water treatment plant, as well as the installation of the extension of that supply, which now stops at the Sendell Tunnel in the town of St. George, all the way to Sandals, traversing the Grand and Main Road. This project is at an advanced stage. Contracts have been issued to contractors, and mobilization is currently in progress. This project is going to impact the Grand and Main Road. So again, folks, the interruptions are going to come, but it's going to come for the sake of development and for the sake of improving the lives of Grenadians from a water supply standpoint. This project, again, is a transformational project in terms of alleviating and assisting with all of the issues that we have on the south of the island during the dry season. For persons who live on the south, you already see trucks starting to draw water left, right, and center because a lot of the businesses on the south are already having shortfalls in water supply. We've already commenced valve regulation in certain aspects of the south, and the dry season has only just begun. So again, identifying these challenges, guys, the organization continue to find solutions and rise to the occasion as it relates to mitigating against these challenges. Just some photos there in terms of where the pipeline is going to be passing for the UKSIF. As mentioned, this project also involved the upgrade of the Concord water treatment plant. The Concord water treatment plant currently produces about 600,000 gallons per day. The project, we're going to augment that to about 1.2 million gallons a day so that we could have additional water supply for the intended use. The project is also going to see the installation of some additional storage tank in the Molyneux area. Capital expenditure 2025. Every year, NAWASA from its budgetary allocations put aside in the vicinity of $10 to $15 million in terms of infrastructure development. And this comes in the form of pipeline improvement or infrastructure improvement as it relates to dams, whatever we identify as critical in any one given year. We're currently undergoing a number of CapEx projects. One of the major ones to mention, we're currently constructing a water treatment facility in the transformer area. The intent of that facility is to better the quality of water served in the Manjaloo, Marian area. These areas are the high elevated areas of the island where we currently have quite a bit of challenge with water quality and water supply. Among other projects, Townhall, Grenville, you would notice that the roads are dug up as well. We're improving the infrastructure in the town of Grenville. We're installing lines in Latas, and too many to mention, a number of infrastructure projects happening across the island. This year, we intend to get into Fort Judy, areas like the GM mentioned, that we have like a 98.5, 99% coverage. There are still a couple of areas that doesn't have water or struggles terribly for water. One of those villages is that of Apwetoots. Apwetoots is a village that has an isolated system, and during the dry season, they suffer quite tremendously from a water supply standpoint. We're currently embarking on a project to bring water to Apwetoots from one of our adjacent plants so as to ensure that villages like Apwetoots that are elevated mountainous village can have access to water or better supply of water during the dry season. Other projects to mention, the Calibini pipeline project. We have aging infrastructure across the island, and for those of us that travels the south of the island, you will notice that NAWASA is forever doing excavation along the Calibini main road. If we're not by SOG, we by Pharmacon, all of these areas, these are pipelines that have continued to rupture, and we've identified these pipelines as pipelines that needs to be replaced. And that is also going to be happening this year as well. You would see us in a number of other areas. Our transmission and distribution team has been spending a lot of time as well on what we call micro projects. This is where we remove the smaller lines across the island that has corroded and needs to be upgraded. So quite a bit of those is going to be happening as well. So again, guys, the organization is continuing to do all that we can to ensure that our water supply remains as consistent as it can, and to see how minimal impact the impacts of the dry season can have on persons. Another critical thing to mention is that in recent days, and for those of us who pay attention to NAWASA, you'd have noticed that we've launched a non-revenue water unit. And we would have explained over and over what that is, but I'll just mention it again. Our system operates mainly on gravity. Gravity systems are very difficult to control from a water pressure standpoint. And what we've identified is that a lot of the leaks and so that we experience is due to pressure management. The creation of the NRW unit is one of the tasks of the NRW unit is to see how we could better manage our pressure so as to create less leaks during the system and manage the amount of non-revenue water. When we say non-revenue, we mean water that is produced, that is lost through leaks, etc. So again, guys, the organization is looking at water supply in a holistic manner and doing everything that we can to ensure that the impacts of not having a consistent supply of water is looked at and alleviated as best we can. So is.
Thank you very much, Mr. Wilcox. I think it was indeed a lot to take in, and I'm certain that persons that are in person and those joining us online will see that, in fact, NAWASA is going places. Along the way, there will be some level of discomfort, and we know we are seeing it in the Granborough area all up to Tivoli. But development comes at a price, and that's one of the prices that we are paying. But we are working to get things on board, and we anticipate that within the next few weeks, the roads will be resurfaced, and persons will be able to get back to some level of normalcy with the road network, especially for the drivers. We see, we understand, and we are working. At this time, I would like to give a special shout out to Honorable Delma Thomas, Member of Parliament for St. Andrews Northwest. She was supposed to be with us here today, but she is joining us online. So, Minister, thank you very much for joining us online, and we do appreciate your presence. We also want to thank at this time two of our directors that are here with us today, Dr. Tessa Sincere and Ms. Josephine Blash. Thank you. And those that are joining us in person and those online, here is your opportunity for what I consider the interactive segment. And the part that I think that we at NAWASA are most excited about, we really want to hear from you. What are the challenges you're facing? How do you believe that NAWASA can help? So now is the time for your questions. We are going to be able to answer. I don't think that there is any one of us here that would not be able to answer any questions that you have. Those that are joining us online, you can put your questions in the comment section. We are monitoring the pages, the different platforms that we have this town hall being streamed live, and we will be able to share the questions with our team at the head table. We are also happy to have with us other members of the management team. We have Mr. Bullen, Mr. Francis, Mr. Lane, and our assistant HR manager, Ms. Vanessa St. Louis Noel, also our finance manager, Ms. Bonnie Williams, here with us. So I don't think that there is no question that you're able to ask our team that we are not able to answer, from HR to projects. So at this time, we would open the floor for any questions that you may have. By show of hand, if you are interested in asking a question in person. Right, so I see the first lady on my left. So we would now invite you. There is a mic in the middle of the aisle. So we invite you to go to the mic and you can ask your question to our team. You can proceed.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Afternoon.
My question is, rain would fall for, let's say, about 1 day, and NAWASA will take water. And 3 days, no water in the pipe. I would like to know, I see you all mentioned being innovative. I would like to know, going forward, what could take place to provide water in this instance, because when you come out from work and this rain falls and you're not at home to catch any, so what could be done going future to have water home? Because taking buckets to go by the main pipe. Some people know it as sandpipe to get water. That don't look good. So what can we do going forward?
Okay, ma'am. So you're referring to rain falling, an instance of rainfall, and NAWASA takes the water. So let's just address that first part first. NAWASA doesn't. Okay, sir. NAWASA doesn't really take the water. I mentioned, I will just kind of step back a bit and then come back to you. I'd mentioned earlier, and Engineer Cox, feel free to chip in to assist me, and we have other engineers in here that could assist if necessary. I mentioned that we are collaborating with the CARICOM Development Fund, the CDF, on a project that is being developed now for submitting a proposal to the Green Climate Fund. I may not have mentioned that earlier on, for a minimum of $10 million US, which is going to be around 27 million EC dollars, that would be implemented probably around over a period of 3 or 4 years, that is going to address improving the quality of our watersheds and our catchments. So this project started about 6 or 7 weeks ago, in the fairly recent past. And we are now preparing what they call a concept note. That is the early form of project preparation when you're submitting a project to the Green Climate Fund. And as part of the data collection for preparing this concept note, we did a little analysis of all of the times that our systems went down between the 1st of July last year, 2024, and the second half of 2024, the last 6 months of 2024. We know that started with the hurricane, which impacted about 9 or 10 of our plants in the northern half of Grenada, right down to, there were 3 days of intense rainfall in November. I think it was the 8th and the 10th and 11th or something, or just around the middle of November, with extreme rainfall, what we call extreme rainfall events. Together, those 3 days of extreme rainfall resulted in more damage to our water systems on mainland Grenada than did the hurricane. Yeah? So we tabulated all of the instances of blocked dams, broken raw water mains, landslides, rock falls, tree falls, and so on, that caused our systems to go down. There were 113. This happened 113 times during the second half of last year. And we did that analysis to assist us to try to focus in on what are the main at-risk catchments and watersheds. Yeah? So the periods you're talking on, they said rain would fall. We don't need to get into the specific area that you're at, but most of these problems tend to be in the northern half of the country. We'd have an extreme rainfall event. Invariably, the dam that serves the water treatment plant that serves your area would be blocked by silt and mud and rocks and boulders and trees and bamboo stools, etc., just completely blocking the dam. When the dam is blocked, water cannot flow down to the treatment plant. So it's not that we take the water or lock off the water, as people say. The system is down. There is no water being produced. If the raw water line has happened on a number of occasions, if the raw water line that conveys water from the dam to the treatment plant is broken, it may take us a day or 2 or 3 or sometimes 4 days to get it repaired. So I just wanted to kind of differentiate, to make the point clearly that it's not, well, you know, rainfall, well, okay, NAWASA happy, rain falling, why is it that you all take the water? This is the core reason, and as I said, as I'd mentioned earlier on a couple of occasions, the project that we're embarking on to improve the quality of our watersheds and catchments, our at-risk watersheds and catchments, by investing millions of dollars over a period of time, would be perhaps arguably the most important investment we could make in our water systems to prevent these instances of downtime on our plants being decommissioned when we have heavy rain. Yeah? So that is an attempt to address it. It's going to take time. It's going to take several years. As I said, we're developing the project now. If we can start implementation maybe before the end of 2026, it takes quite several months to develop a project and get it approved at the Green Climate Fund. The Green Climate Fund is grant funding. It's grant funding that the international community has put together to assist countries like ours to adapt to climate change, which is what, when you improve in your watersheds, what are the kinds of projects that would be implemented in our watersheds? It would range from what we call slope stabilization. It might be planting vetiver grass or other trees or shrubs to preserve the slopes, to stabilize the slopes, going right up to reforestation in the most at-risk catchments and watersheds. This is going to take a few years to be implemented, and if you reforest in the forests, it could take several years for the trees to mature and really fulfill their main function. But the important thing is that we are now embarking on that kind of investment. The last point I'd like to make in response to the problems that you outlined is that NAWASA is encouraging all homeowners throughout our system to invest in water storage. We have been, over the last several years, we've been advocating 3-day storage. We're now advocating 6-day storage. There's an ad that if you look at the news at night on the local TV stations, under the J-Cruise project, I consider it a very, very effective ad, in my view, that says, invest, if you buy a, 500-gallon tank for a household of 3, and sorry, a 1,000-gallon tank that could be suitable for a household of 7, and so forth. We're encouraging homeowners to invest in water storage. We're encouraging homeowners to invest in a rainwater harvesting system that would enable a household to tide itself over, to carry itself over when we have these instances, repeated instances of the systems going down after heavy rainfall events. I'm not sure if that answers your question sufficiently. Does it?
I have another question. My next question is, how often do NAWASA change the rates? Because this month my bill will come and it will be $40 and I will be doing the same thing. And then the next month it comes, it will be $135, and I'm normally doing the same thing. So I would really like to know, how often does the rates change? Thank you.
You could answer that.
All right, so the NAWASA last had a rate increase in 2020 So it means that our rates have not been changed since then. So we first had to identify why there is an increase in your bill. So one of the first things we tell customers whenever we have instances of persons saying, I have seen a significant increase in my bill, well, you've already mentioned that your pattern has not changed. We ask persons to make checks on their properties because there could be a silent leak that you have not yet identified. It could be simple things like the toilets, the flap, anything that can create a leak. And if water leaks for a while, at the end of a month, in 30 days, you're going to get an increase in your bill. So I would like you to first take a step. One of the simplest ways we always tell persons is a very simple and very effective. You stand by your meter. If there is no water being used in your house and the meter continues to move, there is a leak. So if you've done that and there is no evidence of the meter being moved, then we would encourage you to next step, get a plumber. The plumber would come, because what you may see with your eyes would not, in the eyes of a plumber, would not be the same. And if after the plumber comes, he investigates, he realizes that there is nothing, then NAWASA will come in to test the meter and try to determine what could be a possible reason for the increase in your bill. So I want you to take those steps for us, and then you can reach out to me on 405-3770, 405-3770, and then we'll take it from there. We will generate a service order through our finance department, and then we will be able to do an investigation into why there is an increase in your bill. Does that satisfy you? All right. So we do have another person to ask a question. The mic is there, so we would like to ask you to go to the mic. We also want to remind persons as she goes to the microphone that we have 2 questions, actually 3 questions that we're going to take after online. But if you are online, those that are on Mikey Live, the YouTube channel, NAWASA's Facebook page, you can ask your questions. We are monitoring the pages, and we will be able to take your questions. So let's go to another audience member.
Good afternoon. Just 2 short questions I wanted to ask. The general manager mentioned that they were going to look at improving the online reporting of leaking pipes around the country. I just wanted to know, what is the timeline? When are you going to set that up so at least it starts up and running so that the public can start reporting leakage that they notice around the country?
Yeah, the question is what kind of timeline are we looking at?
Yes, that's right.
For
setting
up the IT system that will enable a significant improvement in our customer interface, customers reporting leaks and so forth. Yeah, our colleague here, Engineer Bullen, is... Are you? Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Right, so it's a project that is ongoing now. We anticipate that by the end of this year, early next year, that entire system should be up and running. It requires quite a bit of input. It requires us installing every length of pipe into the system, every asset that we have into the system, and that's like a lot of inputs. So our team is currently doing all of the inputs, and so we anticipate, based on the schedules that we have, that we should be up and running end of this year into early next year.
But sometimes you go around and you see the same leak occurring week after week, and you think, well, has anyone reported this to NAWASA? Do they know about this leak? How do we know that it has been reported? Because you see the same leak as you walk around the area, you know?
Yeah, what sometimes we do get them, sometimes we don't. What I can tell you though is that how the system works, it works based on a work order system. So leaks come in and they are issued to the respective departments. There are times when we have 100 leaks, and there are times that we have 10 leaks. And there are times when you have major leaks, and there are times when you have very tiny leaks. So we do our best to address them in that order. So you might find that you might see a leak and it's going for days, and that's because the team would have assessed that based on the 1,000 requests that probably would have come in, they would have prioritized them and maybe haven't gotten to that one yet, or we probably just didn't get it yet. So to the public, we're saying you see a leak, a lot of times we didn't get it. So please, however you can, reach out to us. We have the WhatsApp platforms, the telephone platforms. However you tell yourself, nowadays what a lot of people have been doing is taking out a photo, doing a location ping, and sending it on the WhatsApp platform. That also assists us, because if the guys could have an exact area as to where the leak is. Yeah.
Okay. And the other question I wanted to ask was, part of it was said, I just want to know, what incentive has NAWASA got to encourage customers to store water, rainwater storage? I mean, are you providing any incentive? I mean, you've mentioned the fact that, you're encouraging customers to buy tanks, but what is the incentive to customers? How are you going to help those who cannot afford to buy tanks? Well, you're the only water company. What incentives are you?
In other words, what is in it for me?
Yes. How are you going to encourage the customers to
With
buy
them,
the tanks? Those who can't afford it.
Yeah. I think what I can say is that management took a proposal to our board of directors late last year to address exactly what you are raising there, ma'am, to lobby the government of Grenada to implement an incentive scheme. They refer to it as a fiscal incentive scheme to encourage and reward households for investing in water storage.
Yes.
And this could this approach has been used in many countries all over the world, including places like Australia and New Zealand, in its more developed countries, as well as there's several examples right here in the Caribbean. In Barbados several years ago, the Barbados Water Authority embarked on a program in which they actually purchased and distributed these, we call it black plastic, as polyethylene, these black polyethylene water storage tanks. They actually purchased and distributed a significant number of these tanks. We're also aware that in St. Lucia, Wasco, the water and sewage company in St. Lucia, they had a different variant. They collaborated with the leading hardware supplier, and a kind of hire purchase arrangement was drawn up, in which you go to this supplier and you take delivery, let's say of a 1,000 gallon tank, I don't know, costing $3,000 for argument's sake. And you have a payment plan in which you sign a document agreeing to pay for this tank over, let us say, 2 years. And the collaboration with Wasco, the water company, Wasco would put your monthly charge for that tank on your water bill. So in other words, it's just a convenient means of the customer paying for that tank. The initiative that we are seeking to address with the government is one in which the government, as I said, a fiscal incentive arrangement in which they would, through one of various means, they would reduce the VAT or taxes on the tank. And we are looking at not just a tank for storage, but the entire rainwater harvesting system. So guttering, downpipe, tank, including pumps. Yeah? So if these things can be made, let us say for argument's sake, if everything costs $4,000, if there could be a government incentive program and the cost could be reduced from $4,000, for argument's sake, let's say to $2,500, it would make that system much more affordable to a broader cross-section of our population. So it is something that we are, as I said, promoting and lobbying the government on. And as soon as, there are developments there, we would certainly publicize them.
Well, I mean, that's you lobbying the government. What is NAWASA giving? What are they giving? I mean, you want the government to help. So how are you helping? How are you going to help financially?
Well,
It's not just the
NAWASA,
government, is it?
you have me there for a minute. Well, remember, NAWASA is a government-owned statutory body.
But you're a private entity.
No, we're not. We're a government-owned statutory body. NAWASA is a statutory body set up by law, the NAWASA Act of 1990. We run by a board of directors. That is, the directors are appointed by the minister and other entities and so. But we're a government-owned statutory body. You're advocating, if I hear you correctly, ma'am, that perhaps NAWASA should be making itself a contribution towards...
Well, it could be NAWASA and it could be the government as well. I think, we should all sort of...
Okay, so...
put an input to help those who can't afford it. Yeah.
All right,
Well, yeah,
so-
that's why I'm asking for help from my colleagues. But
Right,
but
so-
we will take your comment on board.
Yeah. I mean, it's a great incentive, rainwater harvesting, because, we all know of climate change issues and so on. So it's just encouraging everyone to be active in, harvesting rainwater. And if the customer have incentives, they will do it, Anyway, thank you.
All right, so maybe I could add for Mr. Smith. Well, not add, really. So NAWASA has in the past taken on initiatives whereby we have worked with organizations to ensure that we are able to give back water storage tanks. So one of the challenges that we saw in the past was that usually whenever there are heavy rains or in the dry season and there are shortfalls in water, what you see happening is that a number of school children from various schools have been sent home. So in 2018, NAWASA, with support from SEDEMA through NADMA, provided 18 water storage tanks to 18 schools in Grenada. Initially, also after that, we actually gave, I think there was 2 customers that we provided a water storage tank. They would have won a competition. We ran a competition whereby we encourage persons to update your account information. And in updating your account information, you got the opportunity to win a water storage tank. And 2 persons benefited from that as well. Fast forward, Apwitut, Mr. Cox would have mentioned that NAWASA will be going to Apwitut shortly. Under the Apwitut project, we have 10 rainwater harvesting systems that we will be giving to families in the Apwitut community that are challenged. And of course, we do understand that in the intensity of the dry season, they will be challenged. So that is one of the initiatives that we have earmarked for this year. 10 rainwater harvesting systems will be given to 10 families in the Apwitut community. So I do understand your question, and I think it is a good question, but we are doing maybe you're asking for a much larger scale. And as Mr. Smith would have mentioned, and the initiative from WASCO was a very good initiative. So it is maybe something in the not too distant future that NAWASA could also consider as well. But at least for this year, we are giving 10 families in the Apwitut community an opportunity to have a rainwater harvesting system.
Okay, well, that's a start. Thank you.
That's a start. All right, so we do have another question, but still before you start, I'm just allow me 1 minute. We have a question online And that person wrote that question for quite a while. And, it's actually Honorable Delma Thomas. And she said, what measures are in place to ensure that roadways and pedestrian paths affected by St. Andrew's water system upgrade are promptly restored to safe conditions, particularly in critical areas like the Granborough Health Center, where multiple individuals have reportedly fallen? Who is responsible for monitoring and addressing the deteriorating road conditions caused by excavation works, such as a hazardous section between Jose Tire Shop and Mr. Cape's house? What immediate steps will be taken to mitigate these risks to motorists and pedestrians? And added to that, she says, another question I'm bombarded with as an MP is, can NAWASA provide a clear timeline for the completion of road and pathway restorations in affected areas, and what accountability measures are in place to ensure that subcontractors fulfill their obligations to public safety? Honorable Delma Thomas, Mr. Wim Cox will provide the answer to your questions.
Yeah, thanks, Jamila. Thanks, Minister. When we design these projects, public safety is always our first priority. I must say, though, that this project has had its challenges, many more beyond our control. The areas that you're referring to that has not yet been asphalted has been prepped quite some time. After it's been prepped, there was shortages with asphalt supply. Another challenge that we face on this project is that the quantity of asphalt that the contractors requires at any one point in time is oftentimes not sufficient to initiate the asphalt plant starting up to generate asphalt. So we have to be in collaboration with the Ministry of Works to get asphalt, and sometimes based on the demand from the Ministry of Work, the contractors still can't get asphalt. So it's been an ongoing issue that we've had. We've reached out on many occasions. The ministry, the contractor have had multiple meetings and looking at different ways that we can solution it. Last reports is that things have been resolved from an asphalt supply standpoint, and the contractor should be very soon recommencing the resurfacing of the road, especially that portion in the Granborough area that you're referring to that has been like that for quite some time. So we anticipate very soon that is going to happen. Again, public safety for us is key. These projects and the amount of road that you're seeing on surface is not supposed to happen. The idea is that once we install lines and the lines are pressure test and they pass, the contractor can proceed to do the road resurfacing. As it relates to the obligations of the contractor, these projects are managed by NAWASA. The responsibility to see that the contractor fulfills his obligation is ours. All of these projects, every project that we do, the contractor is obligated to have public liability insurance to ensure that if anything happens to somebody, users, etc., they can be compensated. Yeah. So that's these are the measures that we have in place. Again, and unfortunately, so this project has had its share number of issues and stuff not coordinating as we anticipated. We also have the challenge that the finance for this project is also on a schedule. So while on a normal day we probably would have stopped the project and not proceed with some of the work, we balancing, trying to complete the project on time and managing the issues that are coming up as well. But again, our first priority as NAWASA is to ensure public safety, and we are with the contractor, with the ministry, doing all that we can to ensure that the roads that are unpaved should recommence paving very soon, and there should be a vast difference in what is happening on the ground in very, very short order.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Cox. We will now entertain another question from the audience.
Yeah, my name is Harold Lewis. I'm from Grenville Town. And I have a business place on the Carlton Main Road, just under the reservoir. If I understand, you start speaking about my problem. It's over 1 year now since this place there has been broken, dug up, covered, dug up again, because whoever laid the pipe out didn't lay the right, busted, they dug a bigger hole, and in front of my place, after 1 year, nothing has been done with that road, and dust and dust and dust. Water, when it's rain, when in the rainy season, water is splashing. I have a business place there. I run a business on that place there. And we can't open the store. We cannot open the store, especially now, as in the dry season now, dust. I called every number I could call. Nobody's able to put me onto anybody belonging to NAWASA. All they're telling me, hold on, call this person, it's not our responsibility. That's what was told to me. Last week, Friday, I called and I asked for Mr. Bruno. Lucky for me, I got Mr. Bruno, who told me he didn't fix yet. I said no. Kenny Forrester was given a contract. I was told by somebody at NAWASA in the very early stage of it that Kenny Forrester is responsible. After that time, the pipe busted up and water flowing down into my property. They came and they fixed it. After I come back, I wouldn't say what they told me because they thought I shouldn't call anybody. And because water flowing in my place, I should keep my mouth shut. But my mouth cannot be shut because I am not the man who keep my mouth shut. No. So that went on until now. Friday, as we were talking about it, me and Mr. whatever his name was, an accident took place. Because it's a place that is going to have accident all the time. Because half of the road is broken, and half is vehicles as will be squeezing, and every vehicle that passes going this way, right in front of my shop, all the dust is flying up. You look at my house, even the trees, the planting and blogger trees on the end of my house, all begin to they're dying because too much dust. And that is happening right now as I talk to you. And my question is, who is responsible and how long do I have to bear with that before we end up in the courthouse? How long?
Yeah. So what's happening to you, Mr. Harrell, is unfortunate. Again, the project would have had its challenges, that particular area, just in the vicinity, and you would, I'm assuming you're talking about the area that's directly opposite to our new office building on that road there. So we're right there. We understand what is happening. We've looked at it. The road restoration would have happened where we brought the base course up to road level just to alleviate as best we can vehicles passing and vehicles swerving away from each other. But as mentioned, the intent is that in the coming days, maybe by end of next week, that area should be restored. In terms of the responsibilities and so again, if you have claims and so, this is why we say that the projects do have make provision for public liability, and if you think you're affected one way or the other, there are mechanisms that you could come forward with your respective claims, and we can look at that. But again, what has happened in your vicinity is unfortunate. We do apologize for it. But as we're mentioning, and unfortunate that is you're the one that is having to, be part and parcel of a want of a better word, sticky end of what is happening. But it's all part of development, making sure that as an organization we can provide the best service to Grenada. But as the person online would have asked what is in place, there are systems in place. As a responsible organization, we totally understand that we can't just disrupt people's lives without having recourse. So there is recourse. So if you think that there is grounds for you to claim something, feel free. We'd be happy to look at it and see what we can do.
But that does not
as an
satisfy me.
organization.
My question is, why did it take so long? We have 3 sets of school children, little children like that, crossing that road every day. So nobody seems to think of the danger to those little kids. I'm in front of my store. I'm sitting there because I cannot even open my place. I'm sitting there and I have to call the kids, please walk on the side, please walk on the side, because there is no sidewalk. Who is responsible for that?
Well,
Is it Kenny Forrester who's responsible for that, or is it NASA?
NAWASA has the ultimate responsibility. The
So then why
the
NAWASA
contractor
don't
do
do
has
something
his
about it?
responsibility. No, as I tell you, it's a project, and there are going to be inconveniences.
When?
Yeah?
How soon?
Yeah.
How soon?
As I say, we looking at by this end of next week, Lane? Yeah? All right, cool. Yeah.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm the senior project engineer for NAWASA. And yes, we have been looking at every situation and have been addressing every situation as best as we can. If you would remember, well, I don't know if you might, but we had to shut down the project to make sure that some road restoration was done and the upkeeping of the road. We take this very seriously. But the contractor has also faced certain challenges. Like, for example, today, we asked for the roads to be wet, right? Some of the machines broke down, but they are working on it, right? And we are on top of them on it. We in NAWASA, the contract has something put aside for that, which we call the ESMP, right? Any grievance or anything that will take in place, we will see about it and make sure that the project gets the priority and making sure that the citizens and the residents can benefit from it, especially when it comes to the dust and the gravel and everything. I think I paid you all a few visits well, right, to assure you all that we are on top of it, right? I am working on it tediously, and so are my site supervisors, right? The problem will be addressed, and we are working on it.
There is another question? All right. Mrs. Lewis?
My question is, normally when it's rainy season and the reservoir is full, there is a big drain off. So I was asking if there was going to put another tank or something there, because a lot of water runs down on my property, the drain off from the reservoir. I don't know if it's busted or if it's because it's too full and overflowing or whatever. So I have asked that question several times to the people that work up there on the hill. And they had told me that there was some problem with the shutoff valve or something like that. So I want to know if you all are aware of that problem also. And the drain in front of the reservoir, it's always blocked up. So the water has no other way to run but over the street and onto my property. So I want to know if you all are aware of that, and if you all could get that in place to have that drain cleaned out always, and where the water could run to whichever source it has to run and not on my property. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. I'm not particularly aware of the situation, but now that you're raising it, it's something that we're going to look into and see what solutions we could put forward to it. Yeah.
Are there any more questions? We have a few persons here still. Are there any more questions? Oh, Miss Mark, Karen Mark, you're the one that asked a question online. Okay, I was going to ask it again and then I realized. Yes, no, the online questions, she was one of the persons that asked online. I'm seeing a notice from Best Bab. I haven't seen any notice on water is gone now in the Granville area. Well, I am not aware of a challenge in the Granville area, so I would have to follow up with the team. But what I can tell you is that NAWASA continues to encourage persons to have some form of storage. Our message has moved from 3 days minimum to a minimum of 6 days. So if you have not yet considered an investment in a water storage tank, especially now as we are entering what we consider the heart of the dry season, to please make an effort, but we will do follow up with the team. And I just want to highlight at this time. So there is a scheduled interruption and there is unscheduled interruption. So a scheduled interruption is when we know in advance that they will be fixing a pipe. It might be there is the system maintenance, the tank has to be maintained. So that's a scheduled interruption. So whenever there is a scheduled interruption, NAWASA will be able to provide the information in advance. So we prefer to give persons a few days notice, understanding that not everyone have access to a water storage tank. So this is what we consider scheduled interruption. Then we have the unscheduled interruption. An unscheduled interruption is when there is an interruption, one that NAWASA may not be aware of it at all until we get repeated calls or reports. And then it may be a case of a truck bust the pipe ruptured. So those are unscheduled interruptions. And one of the concerns that we hear all the time is a person saying, but NAWASA, you did not give us advance notice. Well, the pipes don't speak, so they're not able to give us advance notice that they're breaking. And when a truck driver runs over a pipe, we obviously we're not given that notice. So we are not able to provide you with a schedule before. That is why it is always important, and we continue to implore that, and now we are in the heart of the dry season. Please, if you have never yet considered a water storage tank or even any form of storage within your home, now is the time to do so. Currently, we already have the Les Avocats water system that is under valve regulation. We only recently as well put the Laura tank under valve regulation. And when we speak of valve regulation, it means that when you don't have water, another area has water, vice versa. So it's only recently we've been able to do that. The reality is that as we go deeper into the dry season, other water systems will be valve regulated. What can make a difference? Water storage. And what is our recommendation? And it remains 6 days at minimum, representing 35 gallons of water per person per day within your home. So we want persons to consider highly. If you're not able to have a water storage tank, I said there are other mediums. There are barrels, there are drums, whatever it is. Have some form of storage. Mr. Smith said it earlier. NAWASA is not in the business of just taking out water. NAWASA is a business. So when you use water, it is more that we are able to invest in capital expenditure projects. But there are going to be times in the dry season, in the rainy season, when there will be scheduled and unscheduled interruption. So what makes the difference is water storage. Right, and Mr. Cox reminded me of the need to consider, for us to consider how you manage your water as well. Because it makes no sense that you store and you don't manage. And then, of course, we always speak of the need for water conservation. So try to save as much as possible. This is a final call. Are there any more questions from the audience? Miss Anne, you have a question. I see you're putting your hand over your mouth and you're smiling. Thank you so much for being in our audience today. You have a question? Okay, she doesn't have a question. Well, she has a question. I know she's going to WhatsApp me. All right, so if there are no other questions, I'm looking online as well, and I'm not seeing any other question. we would just pass the mic around. We're going to have some final comments. Mr. Smith, you have your mic down by you? Oh, sorry. So we're just going to get some final comments from Mr. Smith. We're going to get some from our chairman of our board as well, Mr. Cox, and then I would officially wrap up.
So, ladies and gentlemen, let me thank those of you who made it your duty to come out here tonight, this evening, to this town hall, acknowledge the presence of persons online for the questions that you've asked. I presented a fairly pretty picture in my earlier presentation, our 5-year strategic plan, what we are aiming to do. Our ultimate objective is to be able to satisfy the water demand of Grenada's population 24/7, 365. We are some way away from that. We are currently, there's a high level of investment being made in Grenada's water sector. The G-Cruise project that we talk about, that we're in year 6 of implementation, is $42 million US. $42 million US. And but it is our responsibility to continue seeking to get these investment funds to be able to continue making investments to improve our water systems. Let me just end by making an appeal again to all homeowners. If you can afford it, if you can, raise a loan or whatever means you can use to try your best to invest in water storage. It means that if your water supply system goes down for a day or 2 or 3 or 4, and you have 6 days storage, it would be able to tide you over. I make an appeal again for householders to seriously consider investing in rainwater harvesting. It will augment your daily water supply, and it means if you can collect 10 or 15 or 20% of your daily water supply on average, it means that you will have to depend that much less on the municipal water system, on NAWASA's water system. So those would be my parting words. Thank you.
Mr. Philip Alexander, Board Chair.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair and GM. First of all, let me thank the public for turning out this evening. And for those of us online, thanks for showing up and participating. I want to give NAWASA's commitment to improving the water supply to our citizenry. It is going to be a challenge going forward in this dry season. We urge you and we encourage you to take whatever steps we can, as explained by our team here this evening, to take steps to conserve, to improve your own storage at a private level, but ensure that whenever there is a leak, help us to get that information soonest, because that will help the efficiency with which we can respond and to conserve water. So I want to thank you again for your wonderful sales of showing up here this evening and also providing the support that NAWASA so urgently need in this very challenging period. Thank you.
Mr. Wim Cox, PND Manager.
Yeah, my final comments is more so to the public. NAWASA continues to invest heavily in its staff, health and safety, and to ensure that when we implement projects, public safety is at the forefront. But we don't see everything. We are not always on the project supervising contractors, subcontractors as they were. So I'm making an appeal to the public. If you see something that doesn't look safe, don't assume that we know. If you can reach out to us via our platforms, take a photo, share it with us. We want to fix it. Public safety is our primary concern. Yeah, so just to encourage the public, assist us in that regard. We want to make sure that every project that we're implementing is implemented in a safe manner for the public. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Mr. Wim Cox, Manager of NAWASA's Planning and Development Department. And that, ladies and gentlemen, brings us to the close of tonight's National Town Hall meeting. There is a saying that a small team with a big heart can achieve incredible things. And we may have been small in numbers tonight, but we did achieve major things. Tonight, on behalf of the Board of Directors, management and staff of NAWASA, I want to extend our heartfelt thanks to each and every one of you for taking the time to be here with us this evening. Your presence, your thoughtful questions, and your valuable feedback are a clear demonstration of the strong partnership that we share and the importance you place on the work that we do at NAWASA. This evening's discussions reinforce our belief that meaningful engagement with our customers and our communities is not just a responsibility, it's a privilege. As we continue on this journey of transformation and development, your input will remain central to the decisions we make and the actions that we take. At NAWASA, we are committed to building stronger relationships with you, grounded in trust, transparency, and accountability. Together, we can work towards a future where every household has access to safe, reliable, and sustainable water services. We look forward to many more opportunities to engage, collaborate, and to serve you even better in the months and years ahead. Until then, we thank you once again for your time, your support, your commitment to working with us to build a stronger NAWASA for you, for your families, and for our nation. Have a safe and pleasant evening, everyone, and safe journey home. Thank you.